Well, it's that time of the year again when we look back at the year that has just passed us. And my word, 2016 was a complete shit show. It just sucked in every department. It was the year a reality TV star became president, it was the year DC made two of the worst superhero movies in existence, and it was the year that those guys who made the Selfie song a couple years ago had a comeback and are now dominating the charts. Music in general last year was pretty mediocre. I wouldn't say there's loads I hated during the year, but at the same time there wasn't loads I loved. Music just kinda sat in this awkward pause throughout the year. The trends that have been apparent in the last few years carried on with boring and uncharismatic EDM being everywhere, and there were very little songs out there that I could really get angry about. But luckily at the end of the year the well stopped being so dry, and nearly every single number one over the last few months was so awful and easily a contender for the list. Before starting the list I need to set a few ground rules. Basically, for a song to be eligible for the list it needs to have the bulk of its chart success during 2016. So songs that came out in 2015 but weren't popular until last year can end up on this list. That has been a rule during every year, but this year I know people are going to kick off about one song in particular, so I wanted to just point that out now. Also, this list is my personal opinion. If you love these songs, then good for you. A lot of people did because they're all chart songs. But I personally didn't like them because my music taste is far superior than all you peasants. So here we go. Here are my top 16 worst songs of 2016.
That I'm at an all-time
Number 16. Excuse me for a second because I just need to build some heavy reinforcements around me right now because I'm gonna get murdered. It seems that every year I manage to piss off a huge fan base. I expect that people will be a bit civil and just accept that my opinion is my opinion, but nope. I shout on 5 Seconds of Summer last year and got a lot of hate for that. I shout on Fall Out Boy and surprisingly no one seemed to really care. I hoped that I'd survive, but you see I'm about to say some pretty harsh words about a song that is loved by more people than 5 Sauce and Fall Out Boy combined. A Grammy-nominated hit song first released in 2015, but receiving a huge amount of attention in 2016. Why the fuck am I even hyping it up? I'm sure loads of you have guessed what it is already. Stressed Out by 21 Pilots. Okay, I'm gonna try and defend myself a bit and ask you to hear me out, but it's not gonna work. I can hear the cavalry on its way already. This was the first 21 Pilots song I ever heard, and I hated it the first time I heard it. I then heard Heathens and Ride and disliked them too, but I heard them so many times they eventually started to grow on me, and then I ventured out to their other stuff and ended up listening to Blurryface and even their previous album Vessel. And I will admit, I think these guys are talented and have some really good songs. They blend genres together really well, taking elements of hip-hop, pop, reggae and folk and blending it together into this really interesting style that is distinctly them. Yeah, they have some incredibly bad flaws, but luckily there's enough in their songs to make up for it, so I can live with it. But then we get Stressed Out, which encapsulates everything bad about the band into one neatly tied song. This song is easily the most different on Blurryface, and not in a good way. It really stands out in a weird way because it just doesn't fit. Something I've never been a huge fan of is Tyler Joseph's rapping voice. Yeah, there are songs where it works, songs like Ode to Sleep and Lane Boy, but this just isn't one of those songs. The problem is he has a really whiny voice, and that shows on this song more than any other song. On other songs he's managed to put something into his voice to make it sound less annoying, whether he's rapping really fast or with a weird Jamaican accent. But here I just think his voice sounds awful. Like he sounds like a pop punk singer trying to rap. But the biggest problem I have with his rapping voice on this song is the complete lack of passion in the first verse. He just sounds bored. Even in a song as awful as Migraine, at least he put some energy into it. It's definitely a lot better in the second verse when he starts going really fast, but in the first verse it really doesn't work. The instrumentation is fine enough. It seems to have this dark edge to it. It's almost like it's been inspired by a 50s B-movie soundtrack or something, with the high-pitched synthesizers at the beginning wailing away. The only problem I really have with it is that it doesn't fit the song at all. Like, I think if the song was a lot darker than this lyrically and a lot more aggressive, this really could have worked, but it just doesn't. A big problem I have with this band is that they have some really good ideas that they seem to kind of waste and never fully experiment with. Like, they make a big deal of how they want to make whatever music they want and won't conform to the usual standards of pop, but then they don't even see those ideas to the end. Like in Heathens, there is this fantastic bridge that explodes out of nowhere with this distorted muted bass that sounds like a gun cocking, but then it just goes back to the incredibly slow and sometimes boring sound that the rest of the song has. That's a great idea, and I would have loved to have seen it experimented with and expanded on, just like here with the dark edge to it. These guys are capable of writing music about dark subjects, and this is even supposed to be a dark song, but they just didn't seem to get the hang of it with this one. This song instantly starts with Tyler rapping about how he wishes he could make original music that has never been made and that doesn't follow normal pop music instructions. But here's the thing. Why don't you fucking do that? Isn't this basically contradicting all of Lane Boy when you say you're going to do things however you want, no matter what the labels tell you? That little "I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sing" line really annoys me. Like, they're trying to be funny, but it just isn't funny in the slightest. Then he says he's afraid of what people think about him, using the blurry-faced character as a representation for the insecurities he feels. And you know what? That's something I can get behind. All the themes in this song are about how insecure he is about everything and how he wishes he could go back to when he was a child and didn't have to worry about making money. But the problem I have with this is that, again, they don't really expand upon this. He's talking about how he wishes he could be different and original, but yet writes some of the most simple and unpoetic lyrics the band have ever done. The chorus is definitely catchy, but that final line just does not fit in.
When the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out.
It sounds so forced, like the rest of the chorus flows nicely, and then that last line comes in and throws the whole thing out of balance. A big problem I have with this song is that I really want to like it. In fact, I very nearly do. But its flaws are more notable in this song than any of the band's other songs. And although I can usually get past them, with this song I just can't. Maybe it's due to the huge popularity of this song, but I just can't get behind it. But listen, 21 Pilots fans, before crucifying me, remember, I said I liked the band. Heathens was a decent track from this year. Ride was a huge hit this year, and I loved it. It's just this one song I can't get behind. Number 15. Closer by the Chainsmokers featuring Halsey. Another controversial choice because this is a song that it seems that everyone and their mother loves. Well, I don't. 2016 was a big year for electronic duo the Chainsmokers. They first graced us with their song Selfie, a song that was an honorable mention on my list back in 2013. And then this year, out of nowhere, they returned with two gigantic hit songs with Don't Let Me Down and Closer, the latter of the two being one of the most successful songs of the decade. I personally don't see the hype. I really like Don't Let Me Down, even despite its kind of annoying drop. But Closer? Nah, it has some good elements in it. It's not terrible, but it really is not good. First off, let's start with the vocals. The vocals in this song aren't great. Again, they're not terrible. Halsey comes in there and does a great job during the chorus and her verse, but it's really the other singer who ruins this song. Andrew Taggart, one half of the Chainsmokers, sings during the first verse and does co-vocals in the chorus, but the problem is his voice is so boring. It just has such a lack of passion. It sounds like he was trying to keep his voice down in case he woke his parents up. He's not a good singer, so he drowns that in auto-tune, which makes it sound even worse because the auto-tune isn't subtle in the slightest. His voice reminds me a lot of Calvin Harris's voice, and let's just say there is a reason why Calvin Harris stopped singing his songs and got features on there instead. The song is about two sides to this really shitty relationship. Andrew is singing about how he had a good time, but he needs to get out now because it's really bad. But then after 4 years they hook up again and he realizes he fucked up and shouldn't have got with her again, but she's incredibly excited and happy that they're back together. That's pretty much the gist of this song. And I like the idea of having a guy and girl sing two completely different sides to the relationship, but it was also something we saw done much better in Somebody That I Used to Know by Gautier. The lyrics in this song are complete trash. The chorus seems to keep going and going and it stops making sense after the first couple of lines, because then it starts to say about how she has a mattress that she stole from her roommate back in Boulder. I understand that sometimes with lyrics you have to set a scene, but here it doesn't work because it's just such an unnecessary bit of information. Plus throughout the chorus is building up and we're reaching to the climax with the song's big "We Ain't Ever Getting Older" line. The line before that should be preparing you for the climax and should somewhat be epic also, but it really isn't. It's just a really shitty throwaway line. Plus, I don't really understand the geographical references. They seem to have no purpose in the song. Like, they have another one in the second verse about beating a Blink-182 song to death in Tucson. Yeah, that's an actual lyric in this song. This song was heavily inspired by Blink's song I Miss You. Yeah, because the songs are basically the same. It was also inspired by the band Taking Back Sunday. I mean, they say it was inspired by them, but I cannot hear anything in the entire song that would make me think it was. The song is just your standard 4-chord pop song, which honestly is kind of refreshing to see in a year full of the exact same incredibly boring and bland EDM song. But really in the end, the song isn't anything amazing, and I don't think it's worth quite the amount of attention it's received. It's far from original, with the chorus melody sounding identical to both the piano line from Over My Head Cable Car by The Fray and the chorus melody from 679 by Fetty Wap. It's a real sign of quality when you make something like fucking Fetty Wap, the guy who sounds like he's midway through a stroke while he's rapping. Closer, in my opinion, just is not a good song. That's the controversial picks out of the way. Now let's get to the tracks I don't think anyone will argue about. Number 14. Don't Wanna Know by Maroon 5 featuring Kendrick Lamar. Well, this has been a long time coming. I've never gotten the chance to put Maroon 5 on a worst songs list, even though I think they've deserved to be on one multiple times. They're one of those bands who year after year release music and somehow manage to get worse and worse as they progress. They went from being an actual band with some great songs to the Adam Levine project. Sugar and Animals both very nearly got put on last year's list. In fact, it was very tough not to put them on there. There are some bands like Panic at the Disco who became more commercial and less about the band and more about the frontman, but at least they have some good songs to back it up. Maroon 5 don't. But honestly, even at their worst, I could hear a little bit of the band in there. With this new song, they've completely removed all of that, leaving just Adam Levine singing on a tropical house beat. To say this song is the most commercial song to date is kinda an understatement. Any ounce of any creative integrity the band had, which was very little, is now completely gone. This wouldn't be as irritating if the song was in any way decent, but it's not. It's atrocious. The song is incredibly repetitive. The chorus has words repeated at the end of every line and it gets really annoying fast. It doesn't help that the song doesn't really go anywhere and kinda just feels like a 3-minute loop. The song breezes through its running time. It has no oomph or anything to keep it interesting. It's just slow and forgettable. This can be shown simply through Adam Levine's vocals, which has such a lack of passion. It sounds so safe and lifeless. Even a song like Animals, which was terrible also, had some power in it. It also had vocals that sounded real, unlike the vocals in this track, which are just so artificial and altered. It sounds like he went into the studio, did one monotone take and then left and was just like, take over from here boys, that's all you're getting from me.
Bada bing, bada boom, I'm done. Learn from a professional, kid.
Okay, Krusty, we are ready to roll. What?
The verses sound really lazy also, like it sounds like they had an idea for a chorus but struggled for a verse, so just kept the first thing they came up with. This is something that I thought was a problem with the entire song. The song starts off with that incredibly annoying synth voice that Lean On made incredibly popular and is now in pretty much every single song. This opening seems really pointless because it doesn't have any effect on the song at all. It doesn't even return until the end of the song. It seriously just sounds like Maroon 5 trying to be hip and modern. The instrumentation is very, very simple, which can work, but here it just makes the song feel like nothing. The song just doesn't have any impact or anything. It just goes in one ear and goes out the other. It doesn't convey any emotion. It doesn't make me want to dance. It does nothing to me. Then Kendrick Lamar comes in because he seems to be the go-to rapper when musicians need someone to feature for some reason. And just like many of his other features, this one isn't anything special. It has a nice flow, I guess, but it just seems to be him kind of repeating the same things over and over again. He's a great rapper as well, who can write some really meaningful and well-written lyrics, but his verse on this is just pretty shit and by the numbers. The annoying thing about this song is that it's not even really offensively bad or one I can get super angry about. It's just bland and boring. But I guess it's a nice way to ease us into the true stinkers on this list. Number 13. Sucker for Pain by Lil Wayne, Wiz Khalifa, Imagine Dragons, Ex-Ambassadors, Logic, and Ty Dolla $ign. One of the biggest controversies of this year was Suicide Squad. Nothing in particular, just the movie as a whole. Critics hated it, but there was a large fan base who criticized those critics and said they were wrong and that it was the greatest movie in the history of images. But really, those critics were right. It was fucking awful. It was a complete and utter mess, completely unredeemable in every way. Although in my opinion Batman vs Superman was by far the worst movie, Suicide Squad is still considered to be the nail in the coffin of DC's movies. And unsurprisingly, its soundtrack was pretty shite also. At least the songs recorded for the film were. The songs that weren't made for the film were pretty great, although they had no clue where to use them and used way too many of them for no good reason. They got some actually pretty talented musicians and got them to deliver some of the worst material they've ever done. Grimes had a song on the soundtrack which was abysmal. I mean, you could have used Kill V Main. That basically is an action movie song already. Panic! At the Disco did a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, which wasn't bad as much as it was basically just the exact same as the original. And of course, probably the most successful song off the soundtrack, Heathens by 21 Pilots, which, as I said earlier, I think's alright. Not amazing, and definitely by far one of the most average songs they've ever done, but I enjoyed it. But then we get Sucker for Pain, which for some reason was also really successful. The songs made for the film have this really weird aesthetic to it which don't really fit the tone of the film. They advertise this as being a really bright and colourful film, but also being really dark too. This song, as well as Heathens, feels like it's trying to be really dark and edgy. It goes really slow and kinda sounds like a song from a 70s exploitation action movie or something. It's just way too slow for an action movie soundtrack, especially one like Suicide Squad. The song is about being in a gang basically, at least the verses are. All the rappers talk about going around in their squad and going to war and fighting against people. But then the chorus seems to be about being into rough sex. The rap verses are so terrible. Logic and Ty Dolla $ign are featuring artists but have the same length verses as Lil Wayne does. But then Wiz Khalifa comes in with the shortest verse out of all of them, which is so obvious he didn't want to be there. Like he must have owed someone a favor or something, because he just doesn't even try in the slightest. Like they put a delay on the end of each line for an entire bar so he doesn't have to come up with more lyrics. That's how lazy his verse is. He obviously wanted to get in and out as quickly as possible. Ty Dolla $ign's verse is all over the place when it comes to rhyming. Like some lines rhyme and others don't, it just seems really random. Logic also does this, but his rhyming is way more consistent. It's just a couple of lines here and there that are out of place. Lil Wayne and Wiz Khalifa are the two consistent ones who rhyme constantly. I mean, say what you will about their lyrics and rapping abilities, at least they fucking rhyme. Suicide Squad was a movie made to pander to teenagers. Not just any teenagers, edgy edgy Tumblr teenagers. That's why they heavily advertised Harley Quinn and Joker being in it. That's why the posters and everything was so bright and colourful. And of course that's why they put artists like 21 Pilots and Panic at the Disco on the soundtrack. But obviously none of the artists on this song appeal to those people, so instead of bringing someone on that does, they throw in lyrics that pander to that audience. Words like fam, squad and thinner are used constantly throughout the song. Squad kinda makes sense seeing as the film is Suicide Squad, but fucking fam? Fam is used twice in this song and both times pissed me off so much. Lil Wayne's verse is classic Lil Wayne in that it's so hilariously bad. Like, he's such a terrible lyric writer that I can't help but laugh when hearing some of his lyrics. Lines like tongue kiss a shark, peanut butter and jellyfishes on toast, just stay up in your lane, you don't fuck with Lil Wayne, and I'm a jump from a plane or stand in front of a train are just perfect Wayne lyrics. While the other two rappers go for the squad side of Suicide Squad, Lil Wayne goes for the suicide side of it. He literally raps about the different interesting ways he can kill himself. It's just so ridiculous. And then Wiz Khalifa comes in with the most generic verse of the song. The big problem I have with this song is that it's just so uninteresting. The instrumentation is very basic, which makes you focus on the lyrics and rapping more. But the problem is, the lyrics are so bad. Plus, I now have an intense hatred for auto-tune and rap songs. Anytime that comes up, I just want to rip my ears off instantly. This song is just awful. Although not Lil Wayne's worst song today, and probably not even the worst song he wrote this year. Number 12. Starving by Haley Steinfeld, Grey and Zed. Do you ever get those songs that you hate and you can't really pinpoint what it is exactly about it that you hate? That's Starving for me. I guess simply put, I think this song is a culmination of many generic things in pop music at the moment. It starts off with a guitar loop, just a very basic clean loop, obviously just recorded through a preset and then looped all throughout the track. Then in the chorus is the annoying synth voice I talked about in Don't Wanna Know. The lyrics are incredibly generic, the instrumentation is generic, the song as a whole is just so uninteresting, so uninventive, just so run-of-the-mill pop, and yet it's completely lapped up by the public and is on constant rotation on the radio, which I guess is kinda understandable. It's catchy and very harmless. Similar to Closer, at least it's a song that is kinda fun and upbeat, which have been completely missing over the past couple of years. The song starts off with two lines that seem really out of place, like it makes it sound like this guy she loves basically has scared her into staying and now she's too scared to leave. The more she knows about him, the more she wants to leave him. But then she just ignores all that and sings about how much she loves him. The main line of the song really reminds me of Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen, mainly the before you came into my life I missed you so bad line. And the second line of the chorus is so bad that I actually physically cringe every time I hear it.
Don't need no butterflies when you give me the whole damn zoo.
The rest of the song is incredibly happy and upbeat, which I can commend, I guess. In a year like 2016, it's nice to have something like this that is a distraction. Except, this isn't a good song. It's just boring. The synth voice in the chorus is one of the most irritating uses of it I've heard all year. They put loads of distortion on it just to hammer it in even more. The production and mixing of this song is especially bad also. The song is so squashed and heavily compressed, it just makes the song sound so tight, and there's quite a lot going on in it as well, so it just sounds really crammed in, which ruins it completely. Again, as I said earlier, there's not a lot I can say about this song. I can't completely pinpoint why I hate this song. I just know I do. It's fucking shit. Number 11. Treat You Better by Shawn Mendes. I don't think it's possible to make a worst songs of 2016 list without bringing up Shawn Mendes. He was one of the breakout stars of the year, and I don't think he's the worst thing or the best thing to come out of the year. I enjoy Stitches, although it's not really great, and even I Know What You Did Last Summer wasn't too bad a song. Although I don't know why he's making songs named after 90s teen slasher movies. I can't wait for his next single, Jeepers Creepers. Anyway, Treat You Better shit. The song is about a guy basically trying to get a girl to break up with her boyfriend because he likes her and wants to be with her. Just a fantastic message.
I won't lie to you,
but I will try and fuck up your relationship for my own personal gain. Liking a girl who's taken mean, it's not a bad topic to write a song about because it's something that a lot of guys experience. But the difference is the girl he likes is happy and saying that she thinks the guy is the one. Whereas Sean is trying to ruin that and destroy her relationship because he wants her for himself. I mean, that's about as selfish as you can get. Like, if you like this girl, you'd rather see her happy than go out of your way to ruin their relationship and then swoop in on the rebound, which is basically what will happen. She obviously doesn't feel the same way, otherwise she'd be with you, so fucking get over it. Musically, this is basically just the same song as Stitches. It starts off small and then the chorus is big and epic. And of course the final line is the big epic moment that he shouts out. Speaking of the last line of the chorus, I have no clue what his intention was in this song with the final line. It just sounds awful. Like, he sounds like he's trying to sing the line, but he has a large yawn at the same time. It just sounds horrendous. Lyrically, the song is way too simple. Like, it sounds incredibly rushed and almost like a first draft that he came up with. The instrumentation is actually not too bad, all things considered. It's somewhat guitar-based and I think is actually pretty well produced also. But that doesn't stop the song being shit. Just because you dress up an ugly person in a flashy outfit doesn't make them attractive. And that's just basically this song. Number 10. One Dance by Drake. And now we have the biggest song of 2016, which is really troubling because this song is just so awful. Similar to other songs I've talked about, it's not even offensively bad or anything. It's just really boring and forgettable. I don't think Drake is terrible. Like, I weirdly enjoyed Hotline Bling, and I honestly think his song Take Care is really good. Like, it's one of my favorite pop songs in recent years. But One Dance just really isn't good. The song is pretty much just your standard Drake song. A very simple beat, Drake's auto-tuned vocals above it, and really nothing that interesting about it at all. But this song is just so boring, even by his standards. Like, he seems to not really care at all with this song. It's just so nothing. The production on this song just isn't anything great, and there are many times where things sound out of tune, especially in the vocal department, which just sound awful. The big problem I have with Drake is that he really is an artist who makes music that literally anyone can make. Like, it requires no talent to sing with auto-tune. Like, he doesn't rap, he just sings really averagely and then gets it fixed in the studio. He isn't even the sole songwriter and producer, he has a whole team basically doing it all for him. And that's something that really pisses me off. Like, it just takes barely any effort from Drake, and yet he makes loads of money. He can make a song like this, Song of the Year. The song, I think, has even less effort put into it than any of his other music. The song is just so boring and just goes nowhere. It's repetitive and just basically repeats the exact same thing repeatedly. There's basically two hooks. One from the featuring singer Kyla, and of course the I Got a One Dance bit from Drake. Neither of which are really any good. A hook is supposed to be part of the song that sticks out and you remember. But in this song, Drake's hook follows pretty much the same melody as the verses, and the instrumentation is the exact same also. And Kyla's hook is just 2 lines and so forgettable. Forgettable is something that I think sums up this song perfectly. It doesn't do anything interesting or different. It doesn't embrace its messiness and become basically a self-parody like Hotline Bling. And it isn't an emotional song with actual effort put into it like Take Care. This just sounds like a beat that the producers were playing around with that Drake just heard and said, yo, I can improvise on this. It's just such a bland song. Like, I cannot think of a single thing that I like about it, and as soon as I've heard it, it just leaves my head. The only reason I can think that this is the most streamed song of the year is because people keep forgetting how it went, so they need to listen to it again to jog their memories. Seriously, this song is just so awful, and I've heard it's not even the worst song on views, so let's just say I'm not gonna rush out and give that a listen anytime soon. Number 9. Panda by Dishonorable. Rap music has followed a weird trend recently where rappers can basically slur all their words and make weird noises and still make incredibly popular music. Dishonorable is one of those rappers. In fact, Panda is the biggest rap song of the year, and yet is in my opinion one of the worst rap songs I've heard in a long time. Like, I would happily listen to Trap Queen over this song, because at least that song had some energy and passion put into it. This song sounds like a guy unenthusiastically rapping over a beat downloaded off of YouTube. Like seriously, you know all those stock beats you find on YouTube that people write these shit lyrics for in the comment section? That's this beat. Like it's just so awful. It even has one of those shit intros at the beginning. Designer has a rapping style which is almost completely incomprehensible. It just sounds like a guy slurring loads of words, but he doesn't put in any passion. He just sounds completely uninfused. It's so monotone. It's just so incredibly uninteresting. Like I don't understand how anyone could listen to this song and genuinely enjoy it, because it doesn't sound like even Designer enjoyed making it. There's also this really annoying vocal noise which repeats throughout the song. Like this pisses me off so much. It sounds atrocious. The song is your typical I'm rich, I got bitches, I'm the coolest rap song. But the problem is with these songs, the rappers should show some interest and pride in it. Like you're celebrating something, so put some fucking passion into it. With this song, he just doesn't seem to really give a shit at all. And this is really weird because I've seen live videos and he gets really into the song and shouts the lyrics. Like, why couldn't he do that with the song in the first place? It would have been much less terrible. The chorus of the song is also him saying panda over and over again. You expect it's going to build up to something epic, but it never does. It builds up to the same exact shit we've been hearing before. The song honestly sounds like a joke, like it's impossible for me to take this song seriously. It's on this list because of how huge it is, because if I wanted to talk about Designer's worst song, I'd talk about the awful, awful Timmy Turner. So yeah, this is the biggest rap song of the year, guys. Are you fucking proud of yourselves? Number 8. Gold by Kiara. What is it with these artists using 2 eyes in their name for no reason? Like, it isn't clever or anything, it's just stupid. Anyway, Gold. You know how many times in this video so far I've said songs have been very nothing, so there's not much to say about it? Well, this is a song that is very nothing, but at the same time, it's so bad that there's stuff I can actually rant about. Which is good for this video, because I've been way too light. Like last year I was threatening to slap Meghan Trainor and calling members of 5 Sauce cunts. 2016 was the year of annoying noises in pop music for some reason, and I think Gold has probably the most annoying noises I've ever heard in a song. In the hook of the song, they cut up every word of her vocals. It makes the lyrics incomprehensible and also so irritating that I cannot listen to the song without wanting to get a lobotomy so I can never take any music in for the rest of my life. The lyrics of the song are all over the place. Like, I cannot begin to understand what it's about. Like, it seems to have hip-hop inspired lyrics sometimes by talking about having gold in her teeth, but then she's talking about a guy she was waiting for so she could fuck, but he bailed so she fucked his brother instead. Then she's singing about a shit relationship. Like, it's possible the gold in her teeth is a metaphor for feeling confident and not needing this guy, but it's so badly written, I couldn't tell you if that was actually what the song was about. The song is very minimalist, but the problem is that it doesn't have any substance in it to make the minimalism work. Like, an example of a great minimalist pop song is Royals by Lorde. That song had meaning behind it and a fantastic catchy hook. This song has nothing, just an average bass line, average vocals, and irritating and glitchy hook, which makes the song almost unbearable to listen to. The song is one of the most repetitive pop songs I've heard this year. It just sounds like a loop which never changes and feels like it never ends. And it doesn't even have a good ending, it just seems to finish after they thought it was long enough. Like, they didn't do anything to warrant its running time. If you've heard the first minute of the song, you've heard the whole thing. It doesn't change, it's just the exact same minute looped 3 times. It seriously sounds like when making the beat, the producer just stretched the loop out to reach just under 4 minutes and then just left the song like that. Honestly, the only thing keeping this song from being higher on the list is that luckily I didn't actually have to hear it constantly this year. The other songs higher up on the list are songs that I already thought were shit to begin with, and then I had to listen to about 1 billion times throughout the year to the point where I almost completely lost all my sanity. Speaking of songs like this,
Not ever letting you know.
number 7. Rockabye by Clean Bandit featuring Sean Paul and Anne Mary. Clean Bandit are a band that I feel like I should like. They're definitely somewhat interesting, blending elements of EDM, house and pop with classical music. The 2000 song Rather Be was a huge hit for very good reasons. I think it's a pretty catchy and fun song. Not the best thing I've ever heard, but good enough. And 2 years later they came back with their next big hit song, Rockabye. This song is really not good. This song's about a single mum. I guess a different thing to write a song about. Lyrically, the song is just absolute shit. They wanted to make this an upbeat, motivational song for all those single mums out there, but it just doesn't work. Like, there's nothing motivating in this song at all. And it's only such a niche audience that are actually going to relate to this song. Like, pop songs are supposed to be somewhat relatable lyrically. Like, most people know what it's like to be in love, to go through heartbreak, or to go out and have a fun time. But very few people know what it's like to be a single mum struggling to provide for her child. And the instrumentation and everything doesn't make the song powerful at all. It doesn't fit in with the theme of the song because the instrumentation is so upbeat and meant to be fun, but the lyrics just aren't. The lyrics are about as basic as they possibly could be. They don't do anything that would make the song actually interesting. Like, it's a really different topic to write about. You'd think they put loads of effort into the lyrics, but they're just so insanely simple and cliche. Like, they used the cliche of the mother being a sex worker to provide for her children. There are other lyrical moments in the song that are just so unbelievably bad. Like the bridge of the song, which is just so terribly written. Sean Paul's feature on this track is on a new level of terrible. Like, to the point where whenever he comes up, I cannot stop laughing at him. He's so intrusive in this song. Like, without him, this song would just be incredibly mediocre, but his feature on this song makes it truly awful. As soon as I heard his intro, I just hung my head in shame. Then he randomly shouts, "Daily struggle," out of nowhere in the first verse. I almost died laughing. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Who really thought that was a good idea? Of course, because this is a dance song, they have to throw in the electronic synth voice, which I keep bringing up on this list. Luckily, it's not too bad in this song. Like, I wouldn't say it was needed or even does anything to elevate the song, but at least it's not annoying or really terrible like other songs I've talked about. I'm looking at you, Starving. The instrumentation isn't really anything amazing either. Like, I thought the classical instruments should have been used more on this track. You hear them every once in a while and then at the end, but that's it. I thought they were used the perfect amount on Rather Be, and it made the instrumentation really unique and interesting. On this, they barely use it at all, to the point where I almost don't see the point of having the classical players in the band at all. The song is just so bad, and as soon as it stops being the #1 song in the UK, the fucking better. Number 6. Work From Home by Fifth Harmony. Fifth Harmony have been one of the big pop acts of the last couple of years. Chances are, even if you don't recognize the name, you recognize one of their songs because they seem to be everywhere on the radio, in TV adverts, in movies, etc, etc. They started off in the X Factor US but only came in 3rd place. Despite that, they are the only people in the entire show's history to actually have much of a career after the show. And I've always just kinda ignored them. They're average pop. Not my thing, but I guess I can understand why people like them. Well, that was until their song Work From Home. Not to be confused with Rihanna's song Work, which also is based around the repeating of the word work. The opening riff of the song is a complete rip-off of Gotta Get Through This by Daniel Bedingfield. Like, when I first heard it, I was like, am I the only person who notices this? Luckily I wasn't, and loads of other people picked up on it too. Literally just take that riff and make it a little higher and it's basically the same. The song is about the girls singing about how much they hate that their man is at work and that he has to stay home and spend time with her instead. Hell, she even sends him nudes in hope that he'll get fired. The guy must stop working at his job and instead put in work in the bed instead. You do realise that without a job he's not going to be able to provide for you, right? He's not going to be able to afford to buy you nice things, because let's face it, you seem like the shallow type who wants their man to buy them jewelry non-stop. He won't be able to put a roof over your head, and then what? Logistically speaking, this just doesn't work. What's gonna happen if he accidentally gets you pregnant? You're not gonna be able to afford to get rid of the baby and also not be able to afford to look after it. So in the end, he'll have to go to work. And yeah, there is the line about him working night shifts, which makes sense. It would suck not being able to see your boyfriend because he works while you're asleep, and it would definitely suck to have to sleep in a bed alone because of it. But is that really worth him just not working altogether? You don't have to fuck at night. Fuck when he wakes up before he goes to work. If you're really that bothered about him working nights, ask for him to look for a different job or change your sleeping pattern to correlate with his. And yeah, I'm looking way too deep into this, but I'm sorry. The basis of this song is so bad, I can't help myself. The instrumentation is that really chill tropical house sound that we've been hearing from loads of songs this year. Fuck, even some songs on this list. Boring and uninteresting. The riff repeats all throughout the song and never ends. lines. By the end of the song, the riff is so implanted into your head that it's actually painful, and the chorus is so repetitive. It's basically just work repeated over and over again. God, after 2016, I fucking hate that word. And then Ty Dolla $ign comes in for a verse, cause why the fuck not? His verse is pretty shit, just average stuff about sex. Oh yeah, he says bae and boo, which is pretty cringy, but that's really it. A big problem I have with Fifth Harmony, along with a lot of other girl groups, is how similar they all sound. Every singer sounds the same, they're not distinguishable at all. They don't have distinct standout personalities, they're just all the same. And that makes them so boring and uninteresting. The days of the Spice Girls are gone. Work From Home is easily, in my opinion, their worst song. This song is just so unengaging and so unfun. It's one of the most boring songs of the year, although not the most boring song of the year. Number 5.
I'm only
One Call Away by Charlie Puth. Last year, I don't think I shat on Charlie Puth enough. His song Marvin Gaye should have been way higher on the list than it actually was, and for that, I sincerely apologise. And this was a strong contender for a long time for my worst song of the year, because I fucking hated it. Just like his other music, it's just so bland and fucking nothing. But that's what makes me so angry and makes me hate it more. The song just kind of glides along, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything interesting, has no emotion in it, it's just so average. The lyrics are fucking awful. Has some of the most average romantic lyrics I've ever heard. Just a cliche, I'll give you all my love, you and me will make it sort of shit. Plus the Superman has nothing on me line is just so terrible. The song is very similar to See You Again, also a shit song, but this is actually worse. It's somehow even more formulaic and less interesting. Charlie Puth's voice is so unemotive. As I've said many times before, vocals that sound perfect are nothing if there's no emotion behind it. Without that emotion that really drives the song, it just comes off sounding artificial and fake, and that's a big problem I have with his voice, is how artificial it is. But should I really expect anything more from the guy who started his career making theme songs for YouTubers such as Shane Dawson and Shay Carl? One Call Away is another song which I wish I could say loads of shit about. I wish I could break down every little bit and explain why it's so bad. But all I can really say is that it's just boring. It's so nothing that although I can get and am very angry about it, I really can't say too much about it.
call away.
Number 4. Work by Rihanna. Hey, it's the other Work song from 2016. Work is Rihanna's worst song to date. Remember Bitch Better Have My Money? This is worse than that, because at least that had some passion put into it and was at least somewhat completed. This song, however, has neither. In fact, the producer admitted that it wasn't finished when Rihanna wanted to put her vocals on it. And her vocals, my word, they're not good. Like, it sounds like she's having a stroke during most of it. She just slurs it all and doesn't seem to care at all. It became a meme at one point that you can't understand what she's saying. She said that the chorus sounds how it does because she was using Jamaican dialect, but that doesn't excuse the whole thing sounding so bad. Like, the English parts you can actually sing properly without slurring like you do. Like, it sounds like she just went into the studio, recorded some scratch vocals, and they kept it for the final piece. In fact, I'm pretty certain that's actually what happened. The song is about Rihanna wanting a meaningful relationship with a guy, but he only cares about sex. The lyrics are fine, I guess. Like, they deal with the situation fine, the use of Jamaican dialect fits in with the tropical house sound, but the big problem is how unpolished it sounds. Like, I don't have a problem with things being a little messy. I mean, I'm a big Nirvana fan and they intentionally made themselves sound messy. But here it doesn't really work because it doesn't sound intentionally unpolished. It sounds like they started to create this fantastic beat and were putting in loads of effort, and then someone distracted them and they forgot to finish it. And Rihanna's vocals are just so atrocious that they make the song even worse. Drake also has a verse on the track which is awful. He is the guy in the song that Rihanna is singing about, so his verse is his response. But his response sounds like he's a completely different person than she's talking about. Like, he's saying that he's putting in loads of effort and doesn't only want sex. In fact, he wants to take things slow. But according to her, all he wants is sex and he doesn't really care about her. It's really confusing. Also, he randomly brings up how he's got people coming after him. Like, what does that have to do with anything? And then he turns all Fred Durst by repeating rolling over and over. This song is also really boring. The entire song is just a loop and it doesn't go anywhere or pick up at all. But yet it's critically acclaimed and one of the biggest songs of the year. I seriously don't understand why so many of these boring songs that go nowhere are so huge. That's not even all of them. In fact, we got one more song which is one of the most boring songs I've heard in my entire life. Number 3. 7 Years by Lucas Graham. I hate this song. I fucking hate this song so much. I cannot describe how much I despise it. But I must try, otherwise this would be a very short entry on the list. 7 Years is a song about growing up. Lucas Graham sings about being kids and how they're getting older and think about what they'll do when they're older. They also sing about their fame and success even though this is their first big single. They did have some success in their home country, but nothing quite like what they sing about in this song. And it comes off so self-indulgent when they do sing about that. In fact, there's one part where the vocals cut out and Lucas Graham is screamed and a crowd cheer. That's easily the worst few seconds of a song I've heard this year. Lucas sings about how they felt when they were younger and reminisce when they were 11 and smoked weed and drunk hard liquor. Ah yes, I remember those days. 11 years old, on the street corners, high as a kite while downing whiskey from the bottle. Those were the days. Then he skips to when he was 20 and started writing songs and saw success, and he even looks into the future and says that they'll be even more successful and be traveling the world. How egotistical can you possibly get? Later on he starts to bring up his father who died a few years ago. In fact, he's come out and said that the song is in many ways all about his death. That's fine. Losing a loved one is an important thing to write about. Some of my favourite songs have been about this subject. But the problem is the song seems to get completely lost in singing about how his life has been and how he's now in this great place of fame and fortune. The song's about nostalgia and looking back on life should be something people can relate to also. But this song is written in such a way that no one who doesn't live the exact same life as him can relate and feel the song. The lyrics are just so terrible that it makes the song almost unbearable. It also doesn't help that Lucas's voice is not good. It's so annoying. Like the way he says the first word in each line of the chorus is so annoying.
60 years old.
He puts so much emphasis on it, it makes me cringe every time. And his voice is just so whiny throughout the rest of the song also. All of this is a huge problem because I think the instrumentation on this song is actually not too bad. The main piano riff is actually kind of beautiful. When I first heard that, I was so intrigued by this song, but when I heard the rest of it, I was so disappointing. And the rest of the instrumentation doesn't really do anything groundbreaking and does actually get a little bit boring later on in the track. I'd say the biggest problem I have with this song and what makes it so awful is that I just do not care what he has to sing about. I don't care how hard his life was early on. I don't care how much effort he put into the band. I don't care about the band's success, but not actual success. I don't care about his dreams and aspirations. I don't care what he's planning on doing later. There's nothing in this song that I or anyone really can connect to. Even the part about losing his dad isn't done well, which really could have made this a different song. He could have made the song about trying to make his dad proud of him, and I think I could have been fine with that. It would have made it much more emotionally captivating. How it is, this song just does nothing for me but make me want to turn it the fuck off and listen to something else. Number 2. Shout Out to My Ex by Little Mix. Do you ever get those songs where the first time you hear it, you don't like it, but then hear it so many times that you wish the people who wrote it were never born? That's this song for me. I don't have a problem with really upbeat, cheesy pop songs like this. In fact, I love many songs like it, but it's a song that I just cannot get behind. It's a song that just drives itself into my brain like a stake to the heart. It just hurts. It's a song about the girls of Little Mix saying goodbye to their ex. These girls don't need their exes anymore. They're strong, independent women who can live without them. They never even loved them anyway, so it doesn't matter that they fucked them over. Here's the thing. If you're gonna do a song that's basically a middle finger to your ex, put some fucking anger into it. In this song, they sound so petty and childish. It makes the song that more irritating. It's the song equivalent of a 12-year-old sticking her tongue out at someone. They spend the entire song saying that they never loved this guy and that they faked their orgasms. An actual line in the song. But they also say that he made their hearts break. It's the classic tale of people being in relationships and seeming happy at the time, and after it's over they decide they never liked them and they were awful in bed and they were ugly. Like, there must have been something that kept you with this guy for 4 fucking years. At one point they say that he ain't getting her love anymore, but they also say he's with another girl at the beginning. So like, why does it matter? He seems to be in love with another girl. I'm sure he doesn't give a shit he's not getting your love anymore. Similar to Fifth Harmony, a big problem with Little Mix is that they sound exactly the same. Like, you can't distinguish the singers at all. They might as well have just got one singer to go and record 4 different takes. And they have those really cringy things a lot of pop songs have, where sometimes at the end of a line they'll let out a little laugh. I always hate those bits in songs, and it's especially annoying in this one. The production of the song is really bad. It's easily one of the most overproduced pop songs of the year. There's weird breathing noises in the beat, and there's a fucking dog barking at the end of each bar. And there's random vocal stabs in the second verse for no reason. It just makes the song that much more irritating. It doesn't help that I think the chorus is just awful. I can't really explain why I think the chorus is awful, I just don't enjoy it. I think it's annoying as fuck. So hearing it on loop for half a year can do a lot to a person. I hate to put this song where I've put it just because I've heard it so many times, but this is my personal list, and when it comes to the songs this year I hated the most, this one is fucking high up there. Before we get to the number 1 spot, let's look at a few dishonorable mentions. This section of the list is where I talk about all the songs that didn't make the list for one reason or another. This section of the list is where I talk about all the songs that just didn't make the list, and also songs that didn't qualify due to this chart success rule that I put in place. I'll try not to talk too much about them because there are quite a lot. Famous by Kanye West. The Life of Pablo was a pile of shit, I don't care what anyone says. Famous is in my opinion the worst song on the album. It's basically a 3-minute Kanye Twitter rant with a terrible Rihanna hook that sounds improvised. It's just a mess of a song. Ghostbusters by Fall Out Boy featuring Missy Elliott. The new Ghostbusters was a terrible movie, and fittingly this song was even worse. Fall Out Boy gives us a terrible cover of the classic song, which ends up being by far their worst song to date, which is quite a feat when considering the fact they wrote American Beauty, American Psycho. War by Sum 41. I never reviewed 13 Voices this year. It wasn't great in my opinion. Nothing awful, just not quite what I was hoping for after hearing Fake My Own Death. War is by far the worst point in the album, which is a real shame because it should be good. It's one of the most emotional and dark songs in the album, with Derek singing about his slow recovery after almost dying. But the production is way too clean for the album and band in general. Plus the lyrics just end up being so cliched and lack the power that I think Derek was going for. Black Beatles by Ray Strummond. This is hip hop in 2016. Just think about that for a second. This song and Panda were two of the biggest hip hop songs of the year. Fuck me, even Kendrick couldn't get a hit song this year. Also, this song is responsible for the success of the Mannequin Challenge. That alone says all it needs to say. This Is What You Came For by Calvin Harris featuring Rihanna. This is one of the many songs from this year which seems to be built around loads of really annoying noises and seem to have no purpose other than to annoy its listeners. Say You Won't Let Go by James Arthur. I thought James Arthur was dead to be honest, but nope, he's made a huge comeback and is now bigger than ever. He fucking sucks. This song sucks. Please go to whatever hole you were in before. Hymn for the Weekend by Coldplay. I was one of the few people who defended Coldplay for a long time, but these last couple albums have been fucking atrocious. This song being the worst song they've done to date. A song that is just annoying with really bland melody and really annoying vocal patterns. Team by Iggy Azalea. This song only just didn't make it on the list. I hate Iggy Azalea and I think this song is just as bad as the other songs I put on previous lists. Yeah, that's how bad the songs this year were. Broccoli by Dram. This song is about as fun as listening to the Teletubbies theme song on loop for 5 hours. Sober by Blink-182. California still is a very mixed bag for me. There's songs I love and there's songs like Sober. Blink-182's most commercial and radio friendly song ever, and this is from the band who wrote All the Small Things. It's an irritating pile of shit. And finally, No by Meghan Trainor. Recently, Meghan Trainor had a huge style change from her old 50s doo-wop inspired sound to a 2000 R&B and hip-hop inspired sound. No is Meghan basically telling any guy who wants to sleep with her that they need to fuck off. She's better than you scum. How dare you talk to her or ask about her? How dare you breathe the same air as her? How dare you be the same species as her? How dare you occupy the same universe as the one and only Meghan Trainor? God, I fucking hate this song so much and everything it stands for. In fact, this was actually going to be my worst song of the year for a long time, but I wanted to stick to a one song per artist rule after basically cheating in previous years. But wait, you may be asking, there were no Meghan Trainor songs on this list? Well... And the #1 worst song of 2016 is... Me Too by Meghan Trainor. Congratulations, Meghan, it's taken you 3 years, but you're finally the victor of my prestigious Worst Song of the Year award. There are no prizes because, let's face it, you've had enough success that you just don't deserve it. For those who don't know, I've placed Meghan Trainor on my worst list 2 years in a row now. I put All About That Bass on during 2014, Dear Future Husband in 2015, and now we're on the 3rd year running with Me Too. But this is actually the first time she's been my worst song of the year, so she's stepped up big time there. As I said in my honorable mentions, Meghan Trainor recently went through a massive style change. Me Too sounds like Beyonce mixed with will.i.am and a wrestling intro at one point. And the instrumentation is just fucking awful. There's that really annoying looping bass line that will.i.am ripped off Benny Benassi and then used in every single Black Eyed Peas song. Then there's random noises like mouth pops and random voice stabs throughout the song. The song is about how great Meghan Trainor is. She says that if she was anyone that wasn't her, she'd still want to be her because she's so great, rich and happy. Self-indulgent anthems sometimes can work well. It's something done in hip-hop a lot, but they come off much less arrogant in this song. Like, they'll go into detail as to why they're so great. And then she basically just spends the whole song saying, I'm beautiful, every guy wants me, every girl wants to be me, I am the pinnacle of human beings. Her previous songs were more about encouraging people to be confident and believe in themselves. As bad as they may have been, at least they had a purpose and a message and people probably could have gotten some good out of them. In this, she basically just shrugs all that shit off and goes, yeah, but look at how great I look today. She spends the whole song bragging about herself and it makes her come off as a gigantic cunt. At least in things like All About That Bass, she was trying to spread body positivity. I mean, she may have shat on skinny people, but her heart was kind of in the right place. In this, she doesn't care at all, she becomes self-obsessed. It's nice that you're confident in yourself, you've accomplished a lot and deserve to be happy about it. But that doesn't mean you should write a fucking song about how everyone else doesn't compare to how great you are. The problem is, this track kind of does the exact opposite of what All About That Bass was trying to do. All About That Bass was basically saying, don't worry, you're perfect the way you are, unless you're skinny. This song says the opposite. You're not perfect unless you're like Meghan Trainor. Unless you're rich, can sing and are incredibly popular, you don't mean shit. And that's a really bad message to give to the teenage girls listening to this song. It's in instances like this that pop music can actually go from just being simple, harmless fun to something that can actually destroy someone's confidence and cause problems. Music is supposed to be a place of solace, somewhere to escape to. If you're feeling shit, you can listen to a sad song and relate to it, or listen to a happy song to make you feel better. All these body confidence songs are good because even if the songs actually suck, they can inspire people to feel good about themselves and not to feel as shit as they do. This song does the complete fucking opposite. Meghan Trainor's massive ego has the potential to actually do damage to the fragile-minded, and it's because of this and many other reasons that this song is the worst song of 2016. It's completely unredeemable in every fucking way. And there we have it. It may be 3 months late, but my worst songs of 2016 are finally out there. I'm really sorry about the long delay. I've slowly been working on the video over the past few months and I kept getting distracted by my work and other things. I don't think I'll be doing a favourite albums video anymore just because it's so late into the year already and only half of it's actually done. But if you are curious as to what music I loved from last year, there's a link to a Spotify playlist of my favourite songs from 2016 in the description below. Also feel free to follow me on there and stay up to date as to what I'm listening to. Also, if you like this video, video, please subscribe and like it. Your support goes a long way. Now that's done, I can get back to what most people actually subscribe to this channel for: horror movie reviews.